Nick was born and grew up in Liverpool. He graduated with an MA in politics from the University of Edinburgh and has an MBA in business, finance and management from the University of Liverpool. Nick worked as a management consultant for 11 years for Grant Thornton and KPMG. Nick has represented Central Ward since 2004 and has worked closely with leaseholders and is a former director of Engage, which he helped to set up. Nick is also chair of the Economic Development Forum of Eurocities, a network of 130 European cities. He is a governor of Liverpool Hope University and City of Liverpool College, and a director of Liverpool Science Park, where Ryder are based. Councillor Nick Small.
Well, thanks for that introduction. I'm delighted to be here today because I think this is a really important debate, a really important story for Liverpool and for what we're trying to achieve from the International Festival for Business. I want to talk tonight briefly around how this agenda relates to Liverpool and try and relate it to some of the work that we're doing through Liverpool City Council and with Mayor Joe Anderson. The first point I'd make is that Liverpool as a city has been on a journey over the last 60 years where we've lost nearly half of our population. The only other city, I think, in the developed world that has lost a similar level of population has been Detroit for similar and some different reasons. And we very much in the city want to grow our economy. We need to reinvent and continue to reinvent the economic base of the city and make that relevant for the 21st century. But we also need to focus around quality of life issues. For me, and I think for the Mayor, it's two sides of the same coin. We're not going to have sustainable economic growth unless we have improve quality of life within the city, and the two are very much interlinked. I want to talk and just touch on some of the work that we're trying to do in the city at the moment and be provocative on some of this as well with some of the audience and just try and relate what we're doing in the city at the moment. The first thing I wanted to talk about was around the city centre. I think city centres are real hubs within cities. It's where the businesses, it's where the culture, it's where the soul of the city tends to be based, and that's very much the case in Liverpool and the Liverpool City region. We're trying through the strategic investment framework for the city centre to look at creating distinctive types of neighbourhoods. We've not done that in the past. In the past, we've had one approach, a one-size-fits-all for the whole of the city centre. We haven't got that. We've got, historic downtown will have a different feel. We'll have different types of businesses, different types of residents than the waterfront will. And a lot of the work that we're doing at the moment is around that. Baltic Creative as an example on that. The type of businesses there, the type of people who'll be attracted to live there are going to be very different people who may live in other parts of the city centre. That's a good thing because it's about building on our strengths, building on some of the distinctiveness that we've got. The second thing I wanted to touch on was around housing. One of the big failures of Liverpool is the fact that we haven't kept pace with the type of housing that people want and people aspire to live in within the city. I think this is relevant today. Just across the way there, the public inquiry on the Welsh Streets regeneration housing in Liverpool 8, just outside of the city centre. That public inquiry is about to, has just begun. What we're trying to do there is create the kind of housing that people want to live in. The kind of housing that's there at the moment simply isn't the kind of housing that people want to live in. That's why the housing market has failed in that part and in other parts of the city centre. It's a controversial issue at the moment. The other side of this is around some of the housing strategy that we've done. We envisage that more people will want to live in the city centre. We think that we've had a an increase in the city centre population from around about 2,000 to around about 25,000 where it is at the moment. That will increase to 30, 40,000 over the next 10 or 20 years. That's a good thing because the people we'll bring into the city centre are people who will stay within the city, who will, people with skills, people with jobs, people who will generate wealth within the city. But there's challenges with that. One of the big challenges is how do we get some of the benefits from the development of North Liverpool, the northern docks, into the rest of North Liverpool? How do we bring the city centre? How do we break down some of those barriers between the city centre and North Liverpool? One of the biggest areas of multiple deprivation anywhere in Western Europe. How do we do that? And there's some really big challenges within there. But we also need to create housing in different parts of the city centre, of the city that people want to live in. One of the most controversial things in the city at the moment is around the development of the Sefton Park meadows. And what we want to do with that is create housing that people want. At the moment, we have a shortage of 4 and 5 bedroomed detached and semi-detached housing in the city. People who aspire to live in those houses either don't come to Liverpool and don't work within the city region in the first place because there isn't the type of housing, or they come and they work here and they leave the city and live in Wirral or live in Knowsley or live in Sefton. And we want that to change. So what we are trying to do within the City Council at the moment with the Mayor is to create a joined up agenda that is about economic growth. It's about growing the economy. It's about a really exciting time for Liverpool. But it's also about building on some of the strengths that we've got as a really great city and looking at some of those quality of life issues to make the city an even better place to live.